Shalom Aleichem. So, tonight is a very special date in the Jewish calendar. It's going to be the 28th of Sivan. Right now we're on the 27th of the month of Sivan. And tonight, tomorrow, the 28th. So why is it that the people can walk as far as they may and won't fall off the edge of the earth? Why is it? So we'll start from the beginning. We won't go through the whole history, but in short, God created the world. In the Torah, the Midrash tells us that God created the world because He wanted a dira b'tachtonim. He wanted a dwelling place, a home in the lower world, in the physical realm. And then a few generations later, when that hasn't yet happened, the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of the Hasidic movement, posed the question to Mashiach, to the Messiah, to the ultimate Redeemer in the heavenly abode, and said, "Ei Masai Kasimar, when is the Master coming?" And the Mashiach responded to him, "L'cheshe yafutzu ma'en osecha chutza," when your well springs will be spread to the outside. Well, your well springs, your teachings will be spread. The secrets of the Torah, the mystical approach and philosophy and method of serving God will be spread to the outside. What is this outside? To everywhere, to the whole universe, and in our capacity, to the globe, top to bottom, middle and center. So, in 1802, which was approximately 70 years after Newton's apple fell off the tree, actually after Newton passed, and 70 years before Einstein was born, or before he acquired the theory of relativity. The Alter Rebbe was 1802, the founder of the Chabad movement, the third generation from the Baal Shem Tov. He posed this question. America was happening, and he posed the question, why is it that the people on the other side of the globe don't fall off the globe, don't fall off the earth? And in the Jewish terminology, where they were in Europe and Israel, it's called Chatzi Kadur Ha'elyon, the upper half of the globe. And America, as the Western Hemisphere, is called Chatzi Kadur HaTachton, the lower half of the globe. So the Alter Rebbe asked, why is it that the people in America don't fall off the earth? And he explained, mystically. Of course, this wasn't a technical question. It was a question to bring a mystical understanding to the physical world. And he said as follows. He says, in the systems of God's governing the world and creation, there are two systems. One is known, two general systems. One is known as Kav, the other Igul. Kav is a straight line, a linear system, and Igul is a circle, a circular system, both of which are energizers, animators, those that give life to the world in their own way. The Kav, the line, the linear system, is hierarchical. There's up and down, right and left. There's higher and lower. But the circular system, the Igul, is a system in which there's no up and down. God's energy in animating the universe is curved. It's a system of curvature in which there is no up and down. We are, wherever we are, God is completely encompassing and surrounding us. And that is what the Rebbe said, the Alter Rebbe explained, that according to Kabbalah, according to the mystical teachings of the creation of the universe, there has to be that wherever you are is the top, and wherever you are below you is also the top. So that's one aspect. Further, moving on through the generations, the Rebbes continued the discussion about the upper half of the universe, of the world, and the second and the lower half of the world, and demonstrating or discussing that in the linear formula there is an elevation, there's an advantage to the upper side, the upper half of the universe, because the Torah was given in Israel. God revealed himself to the world and to the Jewish people on the Chatzi Kadur Ha'elyon, in the upper half of the world, versus the lower half of the world where the revelation wasn't as great. Though of course the whole world received the Torah, etc., but technically, practically speaking, it was in Israel, or in that realm, in that demographic, geographic area. Says, fast forward, Rebbe continued in this conversation and spoke about the difference between God's Torah manifesting itself in the upper half of the world and the lower half of the world. That the Torah is manifest in the upper half of the world, in Israel and in Europe, and away from a revelation from above, Hitaruta de la Ela, as it's called mystically, where God gave the gift to the people, versus the revelation and the manifestation of the Torah in the lower half of the world, in our Western Hemisphere, where it will come, and it is coming through our hard work, our efforts, and specifically, they coined it the efforts of Mesiras Nefesh, of our soul dedication, sacrifice, and to overcome the obstacles and the distractions of this world. Moving on, in 1941, tonight, actually tomorrow, on the 28th of Sivan, in 1941, the Lubavitcher Rebbe and his wife, Rebbe Chaim Mushka, successfully fled Nazi-occupied Paris after a perilous few months in Vichy, France, on the last boat that came to America from there, from that port. And they came to the United States of America right away. Upon arrival, the previous Rebbe, who had come prior, a year earlier, appointed the Rebbe as the social and educational director of activities of Chabad Lubavitch.
I don't know if they're open.
For the next few decades, the Rebbe dedicated his life to revolutionizing the world and revitalizing the world with Yiddishkeit, with Judaism, with morals and values. The Rebbe subsequently explained the date. And he said that the date on which he arrived to the shores of America, the 28th of Sivan, 28 in Hebrew is Chav Ches. Chav Ches spells the word koach. It's Sivan. Koach means power, strength, potency. Sivan is the third month. It's the month of the giving of the Torah. That's what it's best known for. It's the month of the giving of the Torah. The Rebbe says Koach Sivan. What began on the 28th of Sivan was that the power of the Torah became the well springs of the Torah, started spreading out in an unprecedented manner throughout the whole world. And it specifically happened from the Western Hemisphere, from the Chatzi Kadur HaTachton. And the Rebbe says this also signifies the power, the great power of the Torah, and it's a revelation of God's power, because it's the Torah which was revealed in the upper half of the world, came to the lower half of the world and is spread, and it's ufaratz, that spread in a very powerful way to us here, right here in Central Park, New York City, and everywhere else in the world where you are. And the Rebbe says this demonstrates the power of God's Torah in this world even more than just being in the upper half of the globe, because the further something goes away from its source, the stronger it is. So this is a date, the 28th of Sivan, that Chabad people and others who know about it celebrate it around the world tonight and tomorrow, and soon we will celebrate Gimble Tammuz, the 3rd of Tammuz, the date of the Rebbe's passing. I encourage you, if you have any ability to get to the Rebbe's Ohel before, during, or after this Sunday, you should make it there, and we'll be in touch. And spread the word. One more thing, the lever. The Rebbe said that the way the physics or the mechanics, the engineering of a lever works, that if you want to pick up something very, very heavy, you need to get under it. You can't really pick it up from its top. It'll break off the tip. Looking at the tall buildings in Manhattan, you have to get under it and you can lift up the whole thing. So too, we in the Western Hemisphere, in America, says the Rebbe, we're doing the heavy lifting of all the generations, of all the cosmos, of all the spiritual and physical worlds that ever were and ever will be. We're doing all the heavy lifting of raising it up, elevating it, and bringing Mashiach through our spreading the wellsprings of the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov and applying them into our lives. God bless you. Spread the light.